Oh, Arsenal win again to go 4 points clear. I'm not liking this, but I have to say in that first half, Arsenal were absolutely brilliant. I was seething with jealousy, and I hate to admit this, and the biggest compliment that I got for you, Arsenal, was I hated watching you play because you were so good in that first half. The patterns of play, Odegaard, Saka were absolutely fantastic. We will talk about them. And the biggest criticism of Arsenal was they should have been 4-0 up. They should have been 4-0 up. It shouldn't have been a 2-1. I think the fact that they allowed it to go to 2-1 because of Zinchenko's poor defending meant that those final 10 minutes, I was thinking, oh, please, Wolves, get something. And I don't think Wolves deserved anything from that game. I don't think Wolves were particularly good. But Arsenal made that game more difficult for themselves because I think it was Nketiah and Trossard that missed big chances. Martin Odegaard should have gone away today with a hat-trick of assists. Martin Odegaard was absolutely phenomenal. And I don't like to praise Arsenal players, particularly Martin Odegaard, but I thought he was man of the match today, absolutely unreal. Robbed of 3 assists, didn't put a foot wrong. He's looking back. He's been good the last 2 games. I thought Saka was brilliant. Those Saka world-class shouts are popping up now when you look at his consistency, his stats. I thought Martinelli was good. Gabriel, Rice, Saliba, good as always. I thought Tomiyasu was incredible. He was linking up well with Bukayo Saka, but I think Zinchenko going forward is good. Defensively, very vulnerable. I didn't think Trossard was great. I think Jesus should have done better, and I don't think Nketiah was great. And I think Arsenal got worse when they sort of took off their main players and put the subs on. But all in all, I think Arsenal put in a good display. I want to talk about Saka and Odegaard's performance in more detail. And I think the biggest criticism of Arsenal is I think Arsenal fans wanted to win that game 3-4-0. They were 2-0 up. They were playing this beautiful football, and then they just weren't scoring. Then they got in the second half and it went flat. And I think that is something that maybe they were just kind of relaxing. They were saving themselves for next week. They weren't going all out. But I think when you looked at Arsenal, you think, yeah, they should have won 4-0. 2-1 is a flattering scoreline for Wolves because of how dominant Arsenal were, but Arsenal allowed Wolves to get back into it. Now, I think that Arsenal have been very clutch this season, and there's a lot of negativity around Arsenal, but you're top of the Premier League by 4 points. You're top of your Champions League group. Man City have a difficult game versus Spurs. Spurs might do something there. You were top of everything. You are the best sort of team in the league right now. And yes, you're not as free-flowing and scoring as many goals as you want, but you're clutch, you're getting 90th minute winners like Declan Rice versus Man United. And Man City didn't play well in the Champions League final. I think Inter Milan deserves something against Man City Champions League final. Man City had a few games last season where they didn't play particularly well, but Man City were clutch in the moments where they needed to be clutch. And that's what won Man City the league. That's what won Man City the Champions League. And I think Arsenal have that. And I think if you look at Arsenal's first 45 minutes, the football they were playing, how free-flowing it was a bit like versus Lens. They were playing good football, what Arsenal fans want to see, and sort of what Arteta was coaching them. So I think Arsenal fans always nitpick the negatives. If I was going to nitpick for a negative, defensively, Zinchenko's poor. I don't think Trossard's an 8. I think he has the ability to be an 8, but I don't think Trossard was mind-blowing today. And I would say that maybe Arsenal need a striker because as good as Gabriel Jesus is, he's just not got that Haaland clinicalness. And I think Arsenal could have scored 4 today. But I want to talk about Bukayo Saka, and then I want to talk about Martin Odegaard, and then I want to talk about Tomiyasu, who were probably the 3 best players for me, in my opinion as well. So let's dive into it. I also want to just say Wolves are a better team than people think. I saw a lot of Arsenal fans get insulted in the timeline that they didn't win 4-5-0. And I get that you had the chances to win 4-0. But Wolves beat City, Wolves beat Tottenham. They only lost 1-0 to Man United and arguably should have had a penalty and got shafted by VAR. Wolves are giving every side a difficult game. And as you can see here with Bukayo Saka, 20 goals and 17 assists in 2023. For me, that is absolutely unreal numbers. You have to say Saka's been putting up those numbers consistently. And even when he doesn't have crazy numbers, I still think that Saka performs really well. I've always been a big rate of Bukayo Saka, and he plays to score and assist in 10 different matches this season. It's only Saka and Salah. And look, Salah's a world-class player, and I think it's time where you do consider, does Saka start to get in that world-class bracket? And I'm saying that as a rival fan because Saka's been solid for a long time. Maybe he just needs another 6 months of solidness to get into that world-class bracket. But I think Saka is borderline on that world-class bracket, which kills me to say that as a rival fan. But he has been putting up brilliant numbers and he's been great for a while. But he wasn't man of the match today, Bukayo Saka. My man of the match, and I'm going to get this up here for you, was Martin Odegaard. I thought Odegaard's been a bit slow this season, had a few injuries, but today, look at this performance. 97 touches, 1 goal, 1 shot, 3 big chances created, 6 key passes, 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, 77 out of 87 accurate passes with an expected assist of 0.78 and a 9.1 SOFA score rating. Odegaard couldn't do anything more. Odegaard should have got 3 assists or at least 2 assists, actually creating 3 big chances. He scored. he assisted, he was controlling the game, he was dictating the game. And I think with Arsenal, they've sort of this season been so defensively solid with that core of Saliba, Rice, Gabriel, but going forward, it's just not clicked. It's just not flowed. I think a big part of that was maybe Martin Odegaard hadn't found his rhythm and had got injured. But I think now Martin Odegaard was finding his rhythm. You could see how much better, particularly in those opening 30 minutes where, I'll be honest, Arsenal were amazing in those opening 30 minutes. I hated watching it as a rival because I was like, this is brilliant football. It obviously slowed down a bit, but that 30 minutes, I was like, this is brilliant football. I thought it was going to be 5-0. But I think Odegaard is actually a massive, massive part of that. And he's so important for Arsenal because of that as well. And if you even look at sort of these statistics here, I'll get this up on the screen for you here. I'm just covering that, aren't I? You can see here, joint most big chances in the Premier League match for Arsenal, second most touches in the Premier League match for Arsenal, and second most key passes in the Premier League match for Arsenal today was Martin Odegaard. And I think he's a very important player for Arsenal. I think that Arsenal still need that other midfielder. It's kind of Rice, that left centre mid, Odegaard is what they need. I do think Partey coming back will bring in more balance as well, but we saw that Odegaard was back today and how good he was. Created 6 chances versus Wolves. Only 3 players have created more in a Premier League game this season, and that was Bruno Fernandes in 2 of the games and Trippier on 1. So Odegaard's up there in fine company. And for me, as good as Saka was being, Odegaard was phenomenal. He was the guy who was controlling the game. I do want to give a shout out to Martinelli. I think Martinelli's work rate was very, very good. I think one thing I look at Martinelli, he's up there with the Gordon and the Almirons in terms of work rate. You can tell he gives 100% for Arsenal. He does not give up. But statistically, Arsenal have 19 goals, 4 clean sheets, have conceded 2 at the Emirates this season since the beginning of October, and they're really looking like a pretty solid team. And defensively, they have been the best team in the world wise. People lie, but numbers don't lie. And the least line-breaking passes have been played against Arsenal. The least goals have been conceded by Arsenal. If it wasn't for a few silly goals they conceded, I think they'd have the most clean sheets. And a big part of that has been because of the addition of Declan Rice, who's been a bit of an interception monster for Arsenal. He just blocks, intercepts everything, and he was unreal today. And people don't realise that this guy's actually really good on the ball. He's known for being sort of an interception monster, defensively good, but he's so good on the ball, so involved. 23 out of 27 final third passes for a DM is absolutely insane. This is what I want to see at Man United from our DM. I think Casemiro is really good in the final third. I think Casemiro is really good at protecting the back four, but it's those final third passes, that passing, that's where Casemiro lacks. And I think that's why Ten Hag really wanted De Jong, and I think that's why Ten Hag is looking at Kobbie Mainoo, who might have the potential ability to do that. But when I look at Declan Rice, if I could go back to the summer and sign 3 players for Man United, Declan Rice and Harry Kane would be 2 of the 3, and then the third would be a goalkeeper, probably Diogo Costa, because he was unbelievable. I mean, I would sign Frankie de Jong over Declan Rice, but Frankie de Jong would never come to United. But you get my point. 5 interceptions, 5 ball recoveries, 4 out of 5 ground duels won, 3 out of 4 tackles. He was everywhere again, and it's just a consistency thing for Declan Rice. He never has a bad game. We've seen Enzo Fernandez have a few good games for Chelsea, like boom. But for 100 million signings, there hasn't been one for a while that's been as consistent as Declan Rice. He's been unbelievable for Arsenal. And I knew that he would be probably signing of the season. I also thought Timber would be, but Timber's been injured. And you've got to remember that Arsenal are top of the league. They're top of the Champions League group. They haven't got flowing. They've got Timber and, of course, Partey to get back into this, who I think make up their strongest lineup. If Timber comes back, you could even think of putting Tomiyasu left back, because I think while Zinchenko contributes going forward, I think defensively, I'd be worried if I was an Arsenal fan about him against Man City going to Anfield, Zinchenko defensively. But yeah, I think that's what I'd do. And then obviously they've got William Saliba this season, who I thought Gabriel was the better centre-back again today. I think Gabriel's been phenomenal for Arsenal. I think him and Saliba got a great pairing, but 76.2 win ratio with William Saliba is absolutely crazy at home in the Premier League. It just shows how good he's been. When Saliba got injured, Arsenal fell off a cliff last season. They absolutely did. So I think when I look at Arsenal and I looked at the goal, particularly the Odegaard goal, it was a great goal. You could see that there was attacking patterns being coached. I think Mikel Arteta did coach a very good result versus Arsenal, but they just weren't taking the chances, and maybe they need a striker. I think Nketiah and Trossard should have done better. I'm not particularly sure what Nketiah really adds. To be honest, I think they do need to look at getting a striker. And it wasn't amazing football towards the end. But in the first half, they were great. And they haven't been at their best this season. And you just got to think, if they do get going, and we saw them get going in the first half, we saw them get going versus Lens, we know that they are absolutely unstoppable. But it kills me to say this as a United fan. It kills me to say this as a rival fan. But when Arsenal get going, when Arsenal get playing, they looked absolutely lethal. And Arsenal fans will be annoyed that the game ended 2-1, but on another day, that's 4-0 if you take chances, and then Wolves don't even score. And I was hoping Wolves would score, but yeah. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. We'll be doing a Man United versus Newcastle watch along on the Alice Talks football channel at 8 p.m. See you then. Bye.